Welcome to another episode of Mission Compliance, Unleashing Growth Potential for Defense Contractors. Today, we're talking about a very important topic, and that is CMMC Level 2 self-certification in SPRS. This is obviously a very important topic because when you're talking about CMMC certification, you have to do everything right, you have to do everything carefully, you have to document everything. So this is a very important topic in that arena. So sit back, take notes, and let's jump into it. Today, once again, we're joined by Mike Frieder, President of On-Call Compliance Solutions and a CMC Professional Assessor. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Hey, always a pleasure, Roman. This is a big one today.
Yep. So obviously, we're talking about CMMC Level 2 self-certification in SPRS. This is a very relevant topic. This is something you came to us right before recording this and say, hey, change up the plan for today's episode. We're going to talk about this. So you have a lot to say. So let's get right into it. The first question we have today is, what are the key differences between a CMMC Level 2 self-assessment and a full certification assessment, and how do defense contractors decide which path is right for them?
Love it. I love this question. First off, I know this is, I threw this at Roman. I said, hey, it's like breaking news, right?
Literally like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Breaking news, they've just released the CMMC self-certification capability within the SPRS system. We actually went through it ourselves, and boy, is it different than anything you've ever seen before. I would call it shocking, right? So look, what is this? Number one, the DoD has updated the SPRS system to now allow both CMMC Level 1 and CMMC Level 2 self-certification. You will notice that when you go through either of these, that there is a prompt that you must click accept on that says it is a criminal liability to falsely attest to being compliant. Number one, that's a big deal. All right. Two, level one, you just say okay, you check a couple boxes, fill it in, and you're done. Level two, they are dead serious, ladies and gentlemen. They are dead serious. They have literally posted all 110 controls, all 330 assessment points, and you must say that you are either meeting or not meeting every single one of those controls. No joke. They want you to think long and hard about the idea that you will ever put in an incorrect false attestation or a false answer into this. And they're going to nail you to the post, control by control. So if you don't feel good about this, man, it's time to call on call. I don't know, but look, I got to tell you, we started out doing this 7 years ago when NIST SP 800-171 first came out, and my belief at that time was, you can do this yourself. As a matter of fact, we still have we have courses out there where you can, go control by control and you can do it yourself. I believe you can do it yourself, but boy, they sure are making it harder. And they're making the consequences more and more extreme. Um, and to make matters worse, as I always say, this isn't just like regular IT stuff. This is like, your whole company has to understand, and it just bridges so many domains of a typical company. So I want to get back to the question here, but they're turning the screws. If you're in the defense industry, they're turning the screws. They're dead serious. They do not want you doing work in the defense industry unless you are going to properly secure this information. I don't know actually how much more serious they could possibly be about this. By the way, kudos to the people in the government. I've been watching this roll out since 2016 when it very first even broke cover, if you will. Um, it is like a slow motion freight train that is not going to stop. I have been asked more times in the last month, hey, do you think the new administration is going to put an end to this? No, no. I think the new administration has already been through an administration and they encourage this. A lot of the action, you guys, a lot of the action took place from 2016 to 2020 when Trump was in office. Remember that. Okay. So, no, Trump is a big supporter of NIST SP 800-171 and CMMC. And, cybersecurity is paramount to national security, and Trump is big on national security and keeping our country safe. He's big on building our military. You can't have a good offense unless you have a good defense, and this is defense, right? So, one, no, sorry, it's not going away. It's only getting more intense. Two, the penalties are getting bigger. Three, they have not missed a single deadline that they set out for in 2019 to get this enforced. I just like I almost can't spend enough time on that one thing, which is they are actually doing a great job of staying on time. They've done it. I kind of feel pretty proud of the government, to tell you the truth. It's like one of those weird circumstances where you're like, dude, they're doing the right thing and they're sticking to their plan. And I got to tell you guys, what that means for you is opportunity. The DoD is not going to get smaller. I'm sorry. You can doge that all you want. I don't think the DoD is going to be the place that they really are able to make a lot of cuts from. Contrarily, for us to continue to strengthen our position, there will need to be more spending in defense. There will need to be more innovation in the world of defense. And I just don't ever see that opportunity being able to shrink because of the nature of the world. To do the things that Trump is doing, you have to be in a strong posture defensively. You're going to have to. And for you guys out there in the defense industry, man, this just it's the same thing I've said for like the last 12, 15 years. Defense is a great place to be. It's why I'm here. I hope it's why you're here. And it's truly a great place to be. So, with all of that being said, um, let me get to the actual question that was asked. Sorry. But I think that's got to be put out there because it's like Phil Collins, man. It's in the air. And I mean, like every day I'm getting asked by everybody, hey, Mike, do you think this stuff's going to go away? Do you think Elon Musk is going to come in here and chop out the program? Let me tell you, Elon Musk is a computer guy who knows just exactly how easy it is to hack a system. That is not going to be the guy that goes and repeals requirements on our nation's defense industrial base to be secure. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. If anything, if anything, they will direct more funding towards supporting defense contractors in getting compliant and getting secure with this. I believe that is a possibility, but I believe it will take some time. I think Trump's got bigger things on his agenda, and I think there are plenty of defense contractors out there, including a lot of our listeners, who are going to get with it because they understand that one, it's the law, and two, doing the right thing, as I've always said in business, doing the right thing will always lead you to good places. So there's that. Now, what is the question? What are the key differences between CMMC Level 2 self-assessment and a full certification assessment? How defense contractors decide which path is right for them?
Yep.
Number one, defense contractors don't decide. Okay, you don't get to decide that. Who decides that is your contracting officer, and it is typically based on what kind of information they have to disseminate down to you, distribute down to you, and how sensitive they deem that information to be. You are 100% out of control on that. Sorry. It's nothing you can do about it. Your contract or the work you're doing could even potentially be in a situation where you start the work and then you find out that you're going to all of a sudden have to handle more secured or more controlled work. That's a possibility. You just may not be in control of that. I tell people this all the time about ITAR and EAR related information. You might start a contract and have no idea that they're about to flow export restricted information to you, but chances are good it's a standard contract clause that you've signed stating that you are going to control exporting, importing. And all of a sudden, now no non-US persons can access information. If you're a big giant company or if you're a little company and you've got people who are not US citizens or not US persons with green cards, this is a very serious consideration, especially for a lot of my um, small business development research companies that are doing research in the area of defense. It's a big, huge deal for them. So much to uncover. We could probably do 15 podcasts just opening up these topics. But to answer the key question, you are not in control. But the good news is your contract point of contact when you're winning the bid should probably be informing you very soon whether or not you will need a third party attestation. 2025, third party attestation will not be necessary. That's what they've come out and said. They're saying that they're trying to get everybody to go ahead and self-certify at CMMC Level 2. Remember, these requirements have been around since 2017. Okay, so they're really turning the screws. I've got more clients that have DCMA, DIBCAC, the Navy, Army, you name it. They're in their offices. They're checking to make sure their infrastructure is safe. It's serious. Big, big deal. Why do you think it's serious? Hey, I'm not trying to be Breitbart over here, but if you watch the news, you know who we're going to war with, right? And again, I'll just kind of leave it at that. And I hope that we're not going to war with anybody. But the reality is that there are certain people that we are trying to level the playing field with. And I can just tell you that cyber resiliency is a very important part of our defensive strategy, and to make sure that our defense contractors can't be hacked to the greatest extent possible. Now, who's going to have to self-certify? Well, the answer is everybody in defense. If you're touching CUI, if you fall under the DFARS clauses, you're going to have to self-certify. That's the way the law is written. That's the way it's going to be. Everybody's got to get with it. You will have to self-certify. You will have to self-certify even if you need a third party. So the first step is always to self-certify and say, yes, I'm ready. Then you can go out and hire a third party and do the third party assessment. So you will have to do both if you are a company handling sensitive enough information that you need to actually have a third party come in. So the answer is, if you have a third party, you're going to have to do both. And that's the answer to that question, Roman. I know it was a really long-winded answer, which I'm really good at giving, but man, so much to unpack on all this new news with the new CMMC Level 2 self-certification coming online.
And I'll just say defense wins championships. For companies that are new to CMMC certification, what are the first steps they should take to prepare for a level 2 self-assessment in the SPRS system?
That's a great question. I will tell you that if you're new to the defense world, the first advice that I would give you is you've got to understand that you no longer have the right, once you sign your first contract that's got a DFARS clause in it, you no longer have the right to act like a private sector company where it's the wild, wild west and information security is unregulated. Congratulations, you're now getting regulated. So that you just almost like a hard pause on that one, right? You've got to kind of realize what you just, the hornet's nest you just stepped into. The second thing I would do is I would take stock of who I have on staff. Do I have a compliance officer? Do I have a CEO? If you have to go talk to the CEO to inform them you've discovered that these things are necessary. Who do you have in your team that you need to go talk with? Then the question is, can we handle this? Can you handle it on your own? It's 110 controls, 320, 330 assessment points. This is not like a small animal. Like I always say, it will take any company between 6 and 24 months to approach getting this solved if that's a full-time effort for somebody. Nobody's got extra staff laying around to make this a full-time effort. Doesn't exist. It is a crisis. So the third thing that I recommend is, at the end of the day, go get some professional help. Obviously, on-call offers exactly that. We can step in, we can help you step through this process. We've obviously invented what we believe is the world's fastest and most effective method for getting compliant. We've been delivering it for years. We've got over 1,000 clients served. I think just last year we did 350 net new clients. We can assist you with every and any aspect of this. But I think the first step, and the good news is it's free, is if you don't understand this stuff and you feel like you stepped in the hornet's nest and you're in over your head, one, you're probably right? Trust your gut instinct. Two, reach out to On-Call. Let's find out how we can help. Let's find out, what your resources are that you have to work with, where your gaps are. Let's find out what we can do to help you, because trying to figure this out yourself now with an active CMMC Level 2 certification requirement in place, you're out of time. You're out of time. And remember that just to win the contract, the current law is that you've got to have NIST SP 800-171 implemented. So I don't know. Previously I've been saying, hey, look, you got time, you can do it yourself, I don't know. the ability to do it yourself at this point is up to you and your team, and what skills do you have? And I got to tell you, it's we can help you in a matter of days and get you on the right track, or you can bang your head against this stuff for months and even years at a time. And how much money is that going to cost you? How much time is that going to cost you? So it's really, it's sad to me a little bit that I feel like, my answer is beginning to change. Can you do this yourself? I'm not going to say that anybody can't do it themselves. There's obviously companies out there that have the skill set on staff, but I think you're starting to run into a situation where you can do it yourself, but the question is, what's the time penalty? And is that time penalty, are you within the amount of time you have to keep your current load of defense work? Um, you know, I don't know. I think without professional assistance, this continues to get to be a harder and harder endeavor. The good news is that we at On Call understand and have understood since day one what the mission is, and we have gone out of our way not to build a solution that's compliant. I love this, but we've built a way to get your company compliant. Obviously, again, being very, very careful. There's a CMMC code of ethics out there, so I can't promise you that we can make you CMMC certified. That's not what I'm talking about. We'll help you prepare for CMMC certification. We too have to abide by a code of ethics, but we can definitely help you to understand and get compliant. And I don't know, Roman, I think that's kind of what the current state of the union is. I think that we're in a place where these companies, if they haven't gotten with the program and they're realizing just how up against the wall they are, the answer is get some professional help, whether it's from On-Call or somebody else. But I mean, again, On-Call, I think On-Call is the premier company worldwide by volume doing the most amount of consultations in this area of helping people to get compliant with DFARS, NIST, and CMMC for defense work. This is what we do. It's all our company does.
So how does setting the correct assessment scope impact the success of a CMMC Level 2 self-assessment, and what are the common pitfalls to avoid?
Yeah, I think it's everything, right? So I mean, I think I can tell you that I have failed. We've failed a DIBCAC audit because we got the scope wrong. I have no problem admitting that. I think it's part of our history of getting it right. We've been there, we've gotten the scope wrong, and I got to tell you, our scope was like slightly off. We had one solution that we did not scope in that allowed for support engineers to be able to manipulate machines, not even remote into it without permission or anything, just like we could send scripts to machines that contain CUI, and we blew apart a bunch of the controls on that. So, for my friends in defense, scope is everything. The smaller the scope, the better. But you can't forget to put anything in scope, or else you can start that CMMC certification process and absolutely fail it. Because at the end of the day, if things aren't in scope, well, then, and again, you start going through the controls, and you bring in an engineer and they start talking, and all of a sudden they're mentioning some other system that's just out of scope or out of what's mentioned on the worksheets. Yeah, man, you're totally out of luck here. I mean, it's history. Like the audits failed. And let me tell you, it happens that quickly. You can be 30 controls in, everything is going fine. All of a sudden they figure out that you got some system that wasn't mentioned, and people have access to your machines or things you just don't really understand. And yeah, you fail that quickly. So scope's everything. I think another thing is your scope is going to determine how much this is going to cost. So the smaller we can shrink the scope, the less it's going to cost. The less systems have to be compliant. My personal favorite is to just build yourself an isolated system that can be compliant. That's why we do so much work with our clients in the Azure government space, because they probably weren't using it before. It's known to be compliant, so we can inherit a bunch of controls from Microsoft. And then from there, we can build you out something that's compliant, and you don't have to change your current existing network. It's an absolutely, positively great way to do it. It won't fit everybody, but a majority of companies we work with, it can work.
Well, you know the drill here. We like to finish off with a silly question, so let's jump right into this one. If CMMC compliance were a video game, what would be the ultimate boss level challenge that most companies would struggle with, and what's the secret cheat code to beat it?
Well, that's a great question. I think the boss level challenge is getting through legitimately the CMMC level 2 self-certification. If you can do that, why can't a third party come in and do it? And I think that to do it and to do it right, you and your team have to sit and pull evidence. You're going to have to go control by control, assessment point by assessment point. It's probably a 2 to 3 day exercise minimum. And you've got to honestly answer the question of, do I have the evidence for this? And click Met. And what's the cheat code? The cheat code's easy, Roman. The cheat code is call on call, right?
There it
We
is.
have this, and we have a product or service, shall I say, called the mock assessment, where we walk you through the CMMC assessment process, the CAP, and we are not giving you an official certification, but it's also a fraction of the cost of certification. You're walking through it with CMMC certified people like myself. I'm a CMMC certified lead assessor. We have multiple CMMC certified professionals. We have other lead assessors on staff. Okay, we got a big team here, and we will literally walk you through a CMMC certification. But the difference is we're not certifying you, we're advising you, which means that if you've got something that is a control you're failing, we can actually tell you how to fix it. And that, if you ask me, let me tell you what, if you think that you're ready to self-certify, I think you should probably call us and get a mock assessment, and we'll walk through your self certification. You check the box, not us, but we'll be pulling evidence and going through the mock certification with you. That's the cheat code, right? You get that third party that's got no vested interest in you to actually walk through it, but without the pressure of a real certification. And if you can pass that, time to get certified, right? But again, at your leisure. So yeah, that's the cheat code. But man, let me tell you what, CMMC level 2 self-certification, that is a boss level, right? You got to really be on point and have your stuff together. But the good news is at On Call, that's what we help with.
And that wraps up another great episode of Mission Compliance. We hope our discussion today has provided you with valuable insights, practical strategies, and inspiration to navigate the ever-evolving world of defense. We'd like to thank Mike for joining us and talking about the very important topic of CMMC self-certification. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, always a pleasure, Roman.
But the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage you to continue exploring these topics and connect with us via our social media channels. Share your thoughts, ask questions, and engage with fellow listeners using the hashtag Mission Compliance Podcast. If they haven't already, what should they do, Mike?
Well, Roman, they should like, subscribe, and tell a friend about the channel.
Yep. Just like Mike said, don't forget to subscribe so that you know when new episodes like this one are released. And we'd also really appreciate it if you could take a moment to rate and review the show. Your feedback helps us to continue to bring you thought-provoking episodes and high-quality content. Join us next time as we delve further into the dynamic world of defense, security, and industry innovation. Until then, take care, stay informed, and make compliance your mission. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody.